All right, 6:30, let's go ahead and get started. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Liz, would you perform a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Gotcho?
Here.
Councilman Duran?
Here.
Councilman Jackson?
He's excused.
Councilman Looper?
Here.
Councilwoman Camp?
Here.
Councilman Tucker?
Here.
Mayor Nichols?
Here. Councilman Jackson called me earlier. He is sick. I said, sir, stay home because you sit beside me. So I will take a motion to make him excused absent.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Looper made a motion to approve the excused absence, second by Councilwoman Camp. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, he goes down as excused. I'd like to call the November 12th, 2024 City Council meeting to order. First item, item 1, is the consent agenda. Approval of the minutes from October 22nd, 2024 regular meeting. Approval of the bills through November 8th, 2024 in the amount of $813,897.06.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Councilmember Looper made a motion to approve the consent agenda, second by Councilmember Tucker. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda stands. Item 2, approval of the agenda for November 12th council meeting.
I'd like to make changes to the agenda. I'd like to take 8F and move it to under G as Exhibit A. And then I also, under staff reports, would like to delete the police report for October 2024.
Due to police chief is ill,
Being ill.
okay? And the reason for 8F being under, because that's part of a G in the resolution, so, right, correct, something like that. Yeah. Okay, have a motion to have a second?
Second.
Okay, Councilmember Looper made a motion to approve the amended agenda, second by Councilmember Duran. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have an agenda. Presentations, none. Peter, you're up pretty quickly here.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. Good evening. I first have to recognize that Liz White, this is her last meeting with us, and she has done a tremendous job in her 26-year career. Started in 1998 with the city at Road and Bridge, and in 2015, she took the position as HR coordinator and deputy clerk. I hear her telling me what it is. Thank you, Liz. Anyway, over that time, she obtained her certifications in human resources through the Society for Human Resource Management, and then through the state and the Clerks Association here. She obtained most of her senior credentials. I think she had one left that she'd like to have obtained, but in her 9-year career as city clerk or deputy city clerk and city clerk, she's done a fantastic job, and I think we're all going to miss her, and we certainly appreciate the organization and the effort that she's put together for that department. Moving on. So you probably heard that WHA, the Dragoos, have been informed, of course, of the council's or the commissioner's desire to offer them 15 years of tax exemption in the last vote, and they've taken that to the state, to CHAFA, concerning their Prop 123 funding. So they're waiting. I think there's a couple of weeks that they anticipate waiting for their determination as to, and I don't understand exactly why that's a factor, because Prop 123 is primarily affordability, and the 30-year criteria is not going to change, but the 15-year tax exemption may have some impact, and so they presented it to them as well as the lenders that they are working with on that project, and I think they seem pretty positive overall. So it's it looks like that could be a minimum impact to the project. We're also, at the same time, we're working through additional impact studies. Joanne Roberson had presented us with a list of those things, and we're kind of marching down each of those items. We hope to have those put together in terms of the impact statements with regard to the utilities, to traffic, pedestrian use, also economics. I'm looking at some of the National Home Builders Association's information related to economic impacts from the 96-unit project, and tax and or lack thereof, or tax benefits of the residents and the impact to schools. We have contacts into the superintendent of schools to try and obtain their information in regards to how they feel about the project. So that's in progress. We are also looking, in my report, I mentioned we're looking to apply for 2 grants this next cycle, which we're in the application period currently. We're applying for a Tier 1 grant for the project that Carl's going to be talking about tonight with the raw water valve at the plant to help control that intake water that flows to the plant. We're also looking at a Tier 2 grant application the same cycle. We have a conversation with our regional manager tomorrow. It's tomorrow, right? Yes. To talk about whether he's going to let us apply for both Tier 1 and Tier 2. But given our situation, I feel rather confident that he's going to let us go forward. But we'll see tomorrow if that's the case. The project, the second Tier 2 project's $1.1 million. That project Carl's going to be talking about tonight, but we'll be looking for 50% grant funding for that project. The Tier 1 grant is estimated to be $270,000, so we're looking for 50% funding from the Tier 1 grant, the nice part about that, you don't have to travel any place for a Tier 1 grant. They can make that administratively. It doesn't have to go before a hearing, and that would cover like $135,000 of the cost of that project if we're awarded. We also close on a property at the townhomes tomorrow, and at 9 o'clock, and our second closing this month actually happens on the 27th, I think. Either the 20. Yeah, it's the 27th. I think it's the day before Thanksgiving. So I had a few other things in the report that they're kind of personnel items, related items I'm not going to talk about this evening. So any questions regarding projects at the city or information I've outlined in my report?
So Peter, is this talked before about, we had one closing before at the end of last month? Did that happen, or is this number 1 and number 2 total?
That closing got moved to tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah,
so 2 total, okay,
yeah.
good.
Do we know where we are in the process on the other 2? Are they?
I asked Cornerstone that same question yesterday, and they don't know exactly where those 2 prospects are at this point. They haven't had an update since the election, so.
Questions for Peter? Thank you, Peter, as always. Before we move on, I just want to extend my thanks to Liz personally. You've been a big help to me and tracking me down, getting me to sign documents and all the time I've been on council. So good luck in retirement. So you deserve it. So thank you. Okay, moving on. Item 5, council reports. Councilman Tucker, would you start us off?
Had a Craig Moffett Airport board meeting this week. We just discussed 2025, 2026 projects, which is going to be the ASOS, moving the ASOS, which is our weather reporting station out to the east. And it looks like we'll be moving forward with the planning 2025 and then the project 2026. And that'll be with BIL funding. So it'll be minimal impact to city and county, like $1,500 apiece probably for the
That's it.
project. So,
Cool.
and that's about it.
Councilwoman Camp.
My meeting for the LMD is on Thursday, so I don't have anything to report this evening.
I'm going to save you to last.
Okay.
Councilwoman Gotcho.
I attended a CTC board onboarding. They did a key member onboarding for me. They're pretty excited to have someone from city council there at the table. So I did that. I attended the special meetings last week. We also had a CTC board meeting last week where they gave us a positive youth development training, and then just the EDAC workshop today.
Good. Thank you. Councilman Duran.
You did attend a joint city-county meeting.
Yes.
I did do that too, but I was gonna let you do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Councilman Tucker and I, and along with Peter and Shane Baker, we attended the city-county joint service meeting. Few topics we discussed were Loudy Simpson, again, trying to get the crews, the parks crews together here sooner than later to discuss trail grooming. The county's willing to help groom that cross-country trail out there this winter. Also discussed baseball field maintenance for the new field out there and potentially having our staff provide a workshop to the county staff on what the expectations are, how to maintain the fields, set them up correctly, and potentially what equipment they may need. We also discussed some weed spraying within the community. From that discussion, we contract out beginning of the summer season, correct? City contracts out to a third-party private business to do weed spraying, but the thoughts behind partnering up with this would be throughout the season when the weeds do come back in the right-of-ways or the heavy visualized areas, maybe have the county come through and spray for us versus having to hire the third party again. So that was a good conversation. It even kind of led to potentially looking at the city getting some weed spraying equipment themselves to help hit these throughout the summer. We discussed the CDOT priority list, the Northwest TPR, and on that list, those top 3 priorities, which were passing lanes between Craig and Hayden, wildlife mitigation between Craig and Steamboat, and then potential shared use path along 394, which is basically to Loudy Simpson. We kind of deemed those the 3 top priorities of that list. I think there were 5 on that list. We even kind of discussed potentially getting a walking path out east, out to the Boys and Girls Club along the highway, whether that would be a CDOT right away or not. Commissioner Booyer said, if that would be an issue, then maybe we move that path into county property so we get out of that CDOT right away. So that was good. Briefly discussed the school resource officer. We kind of ran out of time, so we didn't really get much feedback on that, but we did make it aware of what our situation was as a city and how we were picking up the additional SRO for next year. So we got that out there for them. Councilman Looper and I, we attended the interview process for the city clerk to replace Liz. So I thought that was a good process. Appreciate everyone's input on that. And then zoomed in with Peter for Department of Local Affairs Tier 2 grant for the Mariana Way Circle Drive water line. We just learned that Carl had a 16-hour day, but it sounded like it was a successful 16-hour day because we did get verbal and written notice that we received the grant. So thank you for driving Peter and I took the easy way out. But you did a good job presenting, so thanks for doing that, and whoever helped put your presentation together, it would seem like a good one, so. Other than that, I have Parks and Rec tomorrow, which I will not be attending, so if anyone's available at noon. I think it's more Wood of the Wood conversation from looking at the agenda. That's downstairs. And then planning and zoning next Monday, which we will be having a meeting, it sounds like. I have not seen the agenda. And that's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Looper.
So I'm met with the Senior Social Center Board with the Impact 100 grant that they were doing through Steamboat. They didn't win, but they did receive $3,000 out of it. And then also out of that, there were various funders that attend those meetings. And they got approached from 3 different basically funders, to up to $10,000 on various things that they might get funded through. So that was good. The wine tasting was a great event, sold out. They made about $5,000 on it. And they're talking a lot about how to promote their activities so that it doesn't look like it's just seniors, that it's everyone, families, adults, whatever. It's not just a senior event. So they did a lot of talking about that. Went to the MRH board meeting. They approved their 2025 budget. It's a 10% revenue increase of $166,235,512 million. And the clinics are 5% of that. What I found amazing out of that is even though the total revenue is $88,756,954, they write off or through because of contracts over $86 million that the hospital eats, basically, because of various things tied in with it. And even with that, they're still going to have a net budgeting to have a net profit of $1,648,206 next year. So I think that's pretty outstanding and pretty amazing. Also, what is amazing is their quality performance. They have various benchmarks that they do, and last quarter, they were at 96% on almost every benchmark, which I thought was pretty cool. I also participated in the city clerk interviews. EDAC, we covered most of it in the workshop. The biggest thing was the for COLA or coal employees in general, as we talked about, seeing if there's a way to get a letter about the tax relief for if they pull out their retirements early. What else? I went to MCTA. We talked about the rack card for Discover area for Discover Craig, and also that's finalized with that Hayden advertising project. I went to the Mountain Rail stakeholder meeting in Hayden. The main change, and I talked about that before, is that they're planning on having the bond route through past Fraser all the way to Bond by 2026 for passenger rail. And they're going to start working on the Craig Steamboat, possibly Oak Creek as a commuter line, hopefully by 2030. And eliminate, the route between Oak Creek and Bond is incredibly difficult, incredibly expensive, so they're pushing that back as far as the amount of years it would take. The other reason why they're doing a commuter line is because CDOT can provide a smaller platform for a commuter versus a full passenger rail from Craig to Steamboat. Went to the DBA meeting. They talked about the Parade of Lights that's coming up. They're also wanting to do a traditional tree lighting. Haven't done that in years. I'm not sure if they've talked to you, Shane. Okay, so what they're wanting to do is light up all businesses, light up downtown with Christmas lights as much as possible, and then have a time Saturday prior to the parade where we do a tree lighting and light it up that way. So that's one of the new things they're talking about doing. They also wanted to talk to you about blocking off the streets so there'll be no parking on Yampa. Basically, because what happens is it's cold, and so the Yampa people are all in their cars, and so they're hoping that, and I'm not sure when they'll talk to you, but they're hoping to block off that street as far as parking.
That's a CDOT, right?
What else? RTA meeting. The cost-sharing agreement has been signed by every community. What else? We had discussion with the marketing firm that we hired, what they're looking for. They talked to all of us as far as what we want as far as the community, what we're expecting out of them. And a lot of what I said is coming over and pushing Craig, convincing people why we need it and what it's going to cost them and the advantages of it. The other thing we talked a little bit about, and I didn't get much into it because I had to cut out for our other meetings, but once we form the agreement to get it on the ballot, part of that agreement needs to set up a board. And so we need to have input as to whether we want one seat per city, county type thing, or we want larger shares for those who put in more money. However, there's various ways to do it, but it's something we need to discuss to come up with what do we prefer as far as who's on the board and how it works. Also went to the municipal court twice. I want to thank Heather and Judge Kramer and Gail. They do an amazing job, but it just reinforced my thoughts and feelings that we have a lot of people who just don't show up. It's amazing to me that over half, easily, just don't even show up, and there's nothing we can do about it. I mean, or very little. And so just wanted to let everyone know, I mean, it's an amazing process, and it's great that we're doing it. It's just disappointing in a lot of ways, too. So, what else? I had an NWCDC Innovation Center meeting. We met with the lawyer on the next steps for a 501c3. But going over the bylaws, she's pretty much going to take our input, and she has a formula that she's going to do to put it in. It'll take, right now it's taking 6 to 8 months to get through to become that foundation, but we're working through that. We also talked a lot about sites, because we want the Innovation Center to have basically a storefront as soon as possible. We've talked to various sites in Craig where we gave them permission to start talking to CNCC about the bell tower, as far as that a possibility. There's a couple other sites besides that we're looking at possibly purchasing. If we go that route, we also talked about sites we could rent for 6 months, a year, until that purchase is finalized and whatever we need to do to the building we purchase is upgraded. So we spent a lot of time. That was a long meeting. Spent a lot of time on that. And that's it.
Thank you, Councilmember Looper. I don't feel so bad because you took all my time. So. I don't have a lot. I attended AGNC meeting in Rifle. Main presentation of that meeting was Main Street, Colorado, downtown Main Street programs and incentives. A lot of committee reports, a lot of budget updates from GBC, or, Central Joint Budget Committee. State of Colorado is going to be $1 billion deficit in their budget this year. You know, that's what their projection. So some of the grant money and everything else is going to, be a little bit tighter. So, Peter, Marlon, and I were on a Zoom call with some developers we won't name yet, probably a little bit earlier, but they're looking potentially develop some property west of town for housing, small housing, and not quite mini homes, but somewhere close to that. But it's potential. It's still preliminary, but the city meets with a lot of people, developers, that it doesn't really always come to fruition based on cost and everything else. But it was an interesting concept, and they do own the property already, so potential that'll happen. We all attended the Housing Authority where we did work on the incentives for the Meadows property. Good to hear that's still in the works. Attended the county commissioners meeting today. They had 5 departments making presentations. First of all, they tabled appointing 3 fairer board seats until they can interview them. Road and Bridge request to release retainage for road striping. Final payment of $9,700. Office of Development Services, Neil Binder, Roy Timpton, and Johnson Consulting. Fairgrounds Event Center Master Plan Feasibility Study was presented. You know, interesting, when they went through the whole plan, it's posted on the county website for anybody that would like to take time to look at it. It's an expensive project. Right now, the county supports the fairgrounds. It runs at a deficit. And if this planned project is built and managed properly, they're projecting 8 years after Phase 3 construction, it can show a profit by bringing in activities and events and different functions. So there's conceptual drawings of space, facilities, footprint of the facility. So if you're interested, look it up. Just don't go to the main first cost because it's a costly project. And that's within 8 years, including debt service. So if everything works and managed properly. Human Resource Department gave a discussion on Memorial Regional Health billing discrepancies, and they authorized the county attorney to negotiate with the hospital. Natural Resource Director Jeff Comstock gave an update on contract amendment for the pump hydro project, the social economic study. They added a workforce impact element to that study, costing them about $10,000 more. Like on our agenda tonight, the Public Utility Commission attorney contract, they approved a resolution to delegation of authority to Commissioner Villard, and the City of Craig, Moffett County UPC memo of understanding was approved. And then they had a report by the first Conservation District on sage ground, sagebrush, health, and eliminating invasive grasses. They have 3 grants, partially through Beautify America Challenge, to help in their efforts there. And then today I was on Boys and Girls Club board meeting where we passed our budget. And it's kind of amazing how that has grown from really a startup in Craig to it's a $2.66 million budget year for that facility of taking care of. Right now, Craig's averaging about 100 kids a day, that they're after-school programs, and Steamboat Club is about 130 a day. So it's giving our youth something to do and hopefully a good direction and learning environment. With that said, that's probably everything I have.
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to add 2 more things. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I did attend the district accountability meeting last night, and Dr. Neal just wanted to express his thanks again for adding the SRO into the budget. And then I also wanted to thank Liz for her time with the city.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Anything else before I move on to public comment? Item 6, public comment. Public comment, it's time set aside for citizens to address city council on matters within the jurisdiction of the city. Each speaker is allotted 3 minutes to speak. Council can only act on matters that are on the agenda, but may place matters brought to their attention at this meeting on a future agenda for consideration. With that being said, public comment, anybody would like to speak? Joanne, please come forward, state your name.
My name is Joanne Roberson. I just came tonight to put forth my concern. I gave you guys all a letter a month ago with a lot of questions and a lot of information. And I gave you my phone number, and I asked you to let all of you get together with me, or just a few of you, or whatever, to talk about the things that are concerning my family and other families on that road. And I've only heard back from one person, and it's really disappointing. A month is a long time. I mean, it's not that hard to pick up the phone and call me and say, hey, listen, can we meet? I don't understand what the problem is, but I'm sure you'll have an excuse. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm seeing no one else in the audience for public comment. Was anybody online that you saw? Jesse said if he was feeling better, he would call in, but nope. Okay. With that being said, I will close public comment because no other issue. Item 7, we're going to have public hearings on 3 items. Each item will be a public hearing open on each one individually. I'll have staff present the item, then I'll open up the floor for public comment. Then we'll move on to the next item. With that said, item 7A, an ordinance number 1156, 2024, an ordinance amending section 13.48010 and ordinance 13.16.010 and ordinance 13.32.020 of the Craig Municipal Code to increase water and wastewater rates and capital investment fees to provide sufficient revenues to maintain the balance of water and wastewater enterprise funds. Mindy, you want to present?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. Ordinance 1156 was presented on October 22nd. There's been no changes since it was presented. This includes a water increase of 5%, a wastewater increase of 15%, and capital investment fees / tap fees of 15%. The tap fees have not been increased since 2008. At our September 5th budget session, we did receive a presentation from Waterworth, and this is with their recommendation to keep the water and wastewater enterprise fund sustainable.
Okay. And just so council remembers, when public hearing, we can ask questions of staff, we can ask questions of people that speak, so it's not like public comment where we sit here. So with that being said, I'll open up public hearing on ordinance 1156, 2024. Seeing nobody in the room to speak other than staff, going once, twice, close public hearing on 1156. Item 7B, ordinance 1157, 2024. An ordinance amending sections 8.04.250 of the Craig Municipal Code to increase the refuge collection fee rates to provide sufficient revenues to maintain the balance of the solid waste enterprise fund. Mindy, again.
Good evening. Ordinance 1157 was presented on October 22nd with a 10% increase in the base rate to the refuse collection fee. This rate had not been increased since 2006. There is one slight change to the ordinance from what was presented before. On the dumpster rates per the utility billing coordinator, a lot of people pay those in cash, so we were requested to round those numbers up and down to the whole dollars. I did give you a sheet showing what those would be. For the 20-yard, it went from $391 to $390. 20-yard bear proof from $429 to $430. The 30-yard, that remained the same at $490. 40-yard from $627 to $625. 2-yard from $49.50 to $50. 3 yards from $55, that stayed the same. 4 yards went from $60.50 to $60. 6 yard went from $71.50 to $70, and the shingles 4 yard only, that remained the same at $110.
Questions, staff? None being said, I'll open the public hearing for ordinance 1157, 2024. Again, seeing nobody in the audience to make a comment. Going once, going twice. Close the public hearing on ordinance 1157. Item 7C, ordinance 1158, 2024, an ordinance to levy and establish the percentage rate for additional sales tax on the sale of retail marijuana and marijuana products in the city of Craig, Colorado, for and during the period beginning the first day of January 2025 and ending the 31st day of December 2025. Who's got Heather and then Liz, or what? Who's covering?
I can handle it. This was just
the continuation of, and it will be the second reading tonight, with regard to whether council wants to elect to impose, I believe it was a 3% sales tax for January, from January 1 of 2025 through the end of 2025 for that last year prior to its sunset.
Right, and if we want to continue this after December 31st, it has to go back to the vote of the people.
Correct.
Okay.
Heather, does the 3% need to be included
Right.
in the public hearing?
She does.
Well, I think 3% is what you
I guess.
all,
Yeah, but I was just reading it that to establish the percentage rate. I guess I assume that we already did that.
It's on your ordinance if,
Okay.
the actual ordinance that we does, it does
Is on
say,
the Ordinance at 3%?
yeah,
but yeah, I thought it was 3% is
yeah,
what you all.
it is 3.
last time.
Any other questions, staff? Hearing none, I will open a public hearing, public on ordinance 1158, 2024. Nobody online? Have zoomed in, nobody in the audience? Going once, going twice? Public hearing closed on ordinance 1158. 8A, other business. Second reading, ordinance 1155, 2024, adopting the 2025 budget and setting appropriations for the revenue and expenditures and making and fixing the amount of property tax levies for the city of Craig, Colorado for and during the period beginning the first day of January 2025 and ending the 31st day of December 2025. Mindy.
Good evening. The ordinance in 1155 is to set the budget for 2025. This budget was presented on October 22nd. Per council direction on the 11/7 council meeting, we were directed to add an additional CSO position. So that has been added. It is in your budget sheets that I did give to you. With the increases or revenue and expenses for 2025, we're projecting adding $120,593 to the general fund balance at the end of 2025. And then the only other adjustment to the budget would be in the medical fund as an additional full-time employee. We did have to adjust the premiums for having an additional person. Other than that, the budget is the same as what was presented.
Questions on the budget? And again, it was a special council meeting that we held on the 7th, and we had Chief Cochran here and talked about code enforcement for us, and it was council's pleasure at that time. We still showing a surplus of how much in the budget, Mindy?
$120,593.
One of our tighter budgets, but we usually end, in my time on council, well under. Department heads have been doing a good job, I will say, of managing their budgets. Grant income helps considerably, so. Okay, council's pleasure.
Mayor, I will move that we approve on second reading ordinance number 1155, 2024.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve ordinance 1155 by Councilwoman Camp, seconded by Councilman Looper. Any discussion on said motion? Hearing none. Liz, would you poll council?
Councilwoman Gotcha?
Yay?
Councilman Duran?
Yay.
Councilman Looper?
Yay.
Councilwoman Camp?
Yay.
Councilman Tucker?
Yay.
Mayor Nickel?
Yay. Okay, we have a budget for 2025. 8B, second reading, ordinance number 1156, an ordinance amending sections of, I gotta read, yeah, 13.48.010 and 13.16.010 and 13.32.020 of the Craig Municipal Code to increase water and wastewater rates and capital investment fees to provide sufficient revenues to maintain the balance of water and wastewater enterprise funds. No changes on this since,
No changes, still water at 5%, wastewater at 15%, and capital investment / tap fees at 15%.
okay, any questions? Carl's here in case you want to ask the hard ones, so. That, what's your pleasure, council? Entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve in second reading ordinance number 1156, 13.48.010, 13.16.010, and 13.32.020 of the Craig Municipal Code.
Second.
Have a motion to approve on second reading ordinance 1156 by Councilmember Looper, second by Councilmember Duran. Any discussion on said motion? Hearing none. Liz, you want to poll again, please?
Councilwoman Gotcho?
Yay.
Councilman Duran?
Yay.
Councilman Luker?
Yay.
Councilwoman Camp?
Yay.
Councilman Tucker?
Yay.
Mayor Nichols?
Yay. 8B is approved. Final reading. 8C, second reading, ordinance 1157, 2024, an ordinance amending sections 8.04.250 of the Craig Municipal Code to increase the refuge collection fee rates to provide sufficient revenues to maintain the balance of solid waste enterprise funds. Mindy?
Again, ordinance 1157. It's a 10% increase to the base rate of the refuse collection fee. The only change was one addressed in public comment public hearing to the dumpster fees to round to the nearest dollar, full dollar.
Okay, questions? Hearing none. Council, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve second reading of ordinance number 1157, 2024.
Second?
Councilmember Duran made a motion to approve ordinance 1157, second by Councilwoman Gottrell. Any discussion on said motion? Hearing none, Liz, would you poll again, please?
Councilwoman Gotcho?
Yay.
Councilman Duran?
Yay.
Councilman Luker?
Yay.
Councilwoman Camp?
Yay.
Councilman Tucker?
Yay.
Mayor Nichols?
Yay. Okay, item 8D, second reading, ordinance 1158, 2024, an ordinance to levy and establish the percentage rate for additional sales tax on the sale of retail marijuana and marijuana products in the city of Craig, Colorado, for and during the period beginning the first day of January 2025 and ending the 31st day of December 2025. And again, that rate is 3%. Any questions for staff? Council, what's your pleasure?
I move to approve in second reading ordinance number 1158, 2024.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve second reading for ordinance 1158 by Councilwoman Gottrell, seconded by Councilmember Tucker. Any further discussion on said motion? Hearing none. Liz, would you poll, please?
Hold on.
Hold on.
Peter's, yeah.
Peter had a
Oh,
question.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to mention that Liz did solicit each of the dispensaries with a special notice that they could participate tonight in this discussion, so that they weren't blindsided by the discussion.
And none showed up, so. Okay. Very good. Thank you, Peter, for that clarification, because we did talk about that, and so. All right, Liz, thank you.
Councilwoman Gotcho?
Yay.
Councilman Duran?
Yay.
Councilman Luker?
Yay.
Councilwoman Camp?
Yay.
Yay.
Mayor Nichols.
Yay. Item 8E, introduction and first reading, ordinance 1159, an ordinance of the Craig City Council for the City of Craig, Colorado, amending a portion of Chapter 3.16 of the Craig Municipal Code concerning sales tax to change registration language to licensing for sales tax accounts. Mindy,
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This ordinance 1159 is changing the wording from registration back to license that was done a few years ago. We sent this out to CML listserv to find out how other municipalities had handled the Wayfair Act. They did all reduce or take away the fee, but kept the word licensing, and the City of Craig had gone with the word registration. We found out that we don't have as much authority with the word registration to enforce the sales tax collection, so we were requesting to change this back to license versus registration.
does this give you, you mentioned more authority,
Power.
and you can track better?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Why did we, and this is before
Yeah.
your time, we had just eliminated this, what, a couple of years ago?
Yeah, it was when the Wayfair Act came in, and I'm not sure why they went with registration, if they felt it was less,
Okay.
I'm not sure, but all other, like I said, municipalities went through the same phase, but they reduced the fee to zero.
Yeah, it happened at the same time that we took away the licensing fee. And I'm not sure why we changed the wording, but we did change the cost for a sales tax license.
Okay. Any other questions? Again, first reading. Council will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 1159, 2024.
Second.
Councilmember Duran made a motion to approve first reading for ordinance number 1159, seconded by Councilwoman Camp. Since first reading, I will say, any discussion on ordinance? Or not, or a motion, not the ordinance, but hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? First reading passes. Item F was moved to be included in G, so we'll move on to G. G is a resolution number 21, 2024. A resolution authorizing a member of the Craig City Council to act on behalf of said council in negotiations related to the Public Service Company Just Transition solicitation hearings at the Public Utility Commission, including authorization to sign contracts related to such hearing. Any questions on this? If you read the actual resolution, I'm the one that's being authorized, the same as it was authorized during the tri-state settlement hearing. So, and the county acted on this today, and Commissioner Villard was the same role on the tri-state, and she is authorized for the county.
Mayor, I will move that we approve resolution number 21, 2024.
Second.
Councilwoman Camp made a motion to approve Resolution 2021, 2024, seconded by Councilwoman Gottschall. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 21 passed. Resolution number 22, a resolution appropriating additional funds in the water fund for a raw water control valve.
Mayor, do we need to approve the memorandum as well, or is that all part of 21?
It's part of 21. The MOU is referenced as appendix.
I think it's Exhibit A, and really that's just approving the retention of legal counsel to assist in that, in those proceedings.
We made that correction and when we amended the agenda, so it was included as the appendix A. Or Exhibit A, it was it, yeah. You good? Yep. Okay, moving on to 8H, Resolution 24, appropriating additional funds in the water fund for raw water control valve. Carl or Peter, who's got this? Carl.
Mr. Mayor, Council, so as everyone's probably aware, the Yampa River Corridor Project replaced our existing diversion just downstream of our raw water intake for the water treatment plant with 3 new structures that offer recreational benefit. Structure number 1, closest to our intake, is approximately it's over 1.5 feet higher than the original structure. And so that has some benefit in surface water elevation during times of low water, like in late summer and fall. And according to the hydraulic models, looks like we have an increase of about 6 inches. However, during high water, during runoff, it's a substantial increase in elevation. And so we don't have any way to really control that, and there's no easy way to fix it without having something that has got feedback to our supervisory control and data acquisition system. So our engineering team proposed that we add this raw water control valve at the water treatment plant, and that will address the 3 issues that we saw in the springtime, which were localized flooding, increased pressure in the raw water pipeline, which could damage our raw water pumps, and the backwash ponds were filling with Yampa River water, and if we had a high snowpack year, it would make it impossible for us to treat water. So that's why we need that. The pipeline has some gate valves, but they're not designed for controlling flow and elevation, and they're also very old. I think that pipeline is from '98, so they're not really functional for that purpose. The project is estimated to cost $270,020, and as Peter mentioned, we're going to see if we can get DOLA to help us out with a Tier 1 grant for that project, and we might be able to receive some matching funds from CRWCD or CWCB for that match, and we're investigating if that's possible. So those are some of the funding options that could help offset that cost, but the plug valve itself has a 20-week lead time, and we really need to have it installed before spring. So time is of the essence, and that's why we're asking that we have this appropriation. And there's also preliminary work that can be done in 2024. We need to verify the size of the reinforced concrete pipe. One set of plans shows it 36 inch, another shows it 30, so we have some preliminary steps to do to verify things as well. And so those are best done as soon as possible.
So we're going to authorize $270,020 because we don't know for sure the grant money. How, Indy or Peter?
No, but the grant, we also know that we cannot push this back. It has to be.
Right. I'm just,
Be in place. Yeah.
yeah, I'm just saying, so what the motion is, the 270,000 or? Okay.
And that comes out of this year's budget? Comes out of next year's? Where does that come from?
It will need to be carried over. Some of it will come out this year for some of that preliminary work, and then some of it will be, the rest of it will be finished up after we get the plug valve and the controls in.
Okay.
And Carl, it states here that it's unappropriated or excess revenue, so you do have that money sitting in the water fund, and you're just hoping to kind of, put back some of those funds, obviously, if you do get grant funding, correct?
Correct, yes.
Further questions? Seems kind of cut and dry, like we need it, so. All right, council, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 22, a resolution appropriating additional funds in the water fund for raw water control valve for $270,020.
Second.
All right, Councilmember Looper made a motion to approve resolution number 22, second by Councilwoman Camp. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item H is approved. Item I, award a bid for a generator purchase and alternate bid items for the water treatment plant from Smith Power Products in the amount of $319,220.00. Carl?
So I'll go ahead and talk about I and J jointly, just because they were bid out together. But we realized many years ago that we needed new or replacement standby generators for the water plant and for the wastewater aeration section. And the one at the water plant can just run a few lights. It was installed in 1983 when that plant upgrade was done, and so not very good if we have an extended utility outage. So you guys have heard me talk about this in the budgeting process because it's been ongoing for a long time. And we started exploring the standby generation options in 2020. And we revised our engineering estimates and became aware of congressionally directed spending grants and applied, and eventually were awarded $1,080,000 to be used on either or both generators. So we prepared, our engineering team prepared an RFP that was released on June 26th. Bids were opened on July 24th. They were evaluated, and the grant's being administered by US EPA, so there are all kinds of regulations, and probably you remember we changed some language in our procurement policy to address some of the things that EPA wanted in there. So one aspect of the grant that we were told we needed was it had to be Build America, Buy America, or BABA compliant. And so we received the grants, and that was a bid specification, or received the bids, and that was a bid specification. However, on further investigation, we found out that the low bidder was not BABA compliant on their product. And so we worked with EPA, and because we started this project greater than 2 years before the CDS grant, we got a BABA amended public interest waiver that removes that requirement. So we can go with the low bidder, which is Smith Power Products. And so for the water treatment plant, and the alternate bid items are actually split up on, if we have, I don't know, Mindy, if you have the whole document, but on the bid, the alternates were for a maintenance contract and an extended warranty. And so the prices included in the recommendation are weighted based on the cost of the generator. So for the water treatment plant, $319,220. And for the wastewater treatment plant generator, automatic transfer switch, and alternate bid items, $175,222.
Okay, questions for Carl? Yeah, we have been talking about this for a good while, so it'll be good to get these done. I think since there are separate items on the agenda, I handle these separately, so.
Okay. That's fine, I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if you wanted me to repeat all that.
Nope, you're good. You did good, thank you.
I think-
Unless council has more questions for Carl? Peter, do you
I
have
think our
something?
grant total was about $1 million for the EPA grant, isn't that right?
$1,080,000, yeah.
$1,080,000. And that includes eventually installation of those units, right?
Right.
Okay, yeah. Which is not included in this acquisition bid.
No, that's a separate bid, but the lead time on the generators
Right.
means we need to get those awarded. And the generators, the water plant generator was available as of November 2024, and last time we checked, it's still available. So, and the wastewater one is 22-week lead time, so significantly less than the other bidders as well.
Don't you have to do a master control panel upgrade too, or is that?
That's a separate project that's being supported by DOLA, so
Okay.
they're kind of tied together, but they're separate.
Okay, council item I, award the bid for the generator for the water treatment. Hey, what's your pleasure?
Mayor, I will move that we award the bid for the generator purchase to Smith Power Products in the amount of $319,220.
Second.
Councilwoman Camp made a motion to approve the bid for the generator, and second by Councilmember Looper. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Item I is approved. Item J. Any further questions for staff on that? Hearing none. Council, what's your pleasure?
I move to approve award of bid for generator purchase from Smith Power Products in the amount of $175,000. $175,222.
Second.
Councilwoman Gotchel made a motion to approve the award of a bid for the generator for the wastewater treatment plant, second by Councilmember Looper. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item J is approved. Item K, Carl, you're spending all your money here.
Unfortunately.
Award a bid for 2 streaming current monitors / current detectors from Micrometrics in the amount of $29,500.
So, Mayor and Council, so the water plant uses streaming current monitors, or also called detectors, to verify and adjust coagulant dosing in the plant. And we have 2 dissolved air flotation trains, so we need 2 monitors. We budgeted $50,000 for those monitors based on the vendors that had the options that we were going to require. We advertised the bid and opened the bids on November 6th at 2 p.m. And we received 1 bid from Micrometrics Corporation in the amount of $29,500. The bid documents were complete and they met all specifications, even ones that we didn't know they could meet. And we should have received some other bids. We solicited everybody. We had a couple people decline that said they were going to quit carrying that product. So, but the bottom line is the cost of both of them is a little over half of what I budgeted, because this Micrometrics came in so low on the bid. So it's my recommendation that we go ahead and purchase, and we have some other Micrometrics equipment as well that we haven't had any real issues with. But I recommend that we award the bid to Micrometrics in the amount of $29,500.
Well, this is the first time for a long time we're coming in under what we're projecting, so that's good to hear. So,
Carl, does that include installation, or do you do that in-house?
We do it in-house.
any further questions? Council, what's your pleasure? Item K.
I'll make a motion to award the bid for the 2 streaming current monitors and detectors to Micrometrics in the amount of $29,500.
Second?
Councilmember Duran made a motion to approve the bid for the streaming current monitor detectors, seconded by Councilwoman Camp. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item K is approved. Item 9, discussions, none. Council, any further? Hearing none, let's move on. 10 was removed. Closing comments and information items. Peter, you had your hand up.
Yes, just one thing. On the rate increases for refuse, water, wastewater, we will have a communication going out to the customers so they're not surprised by that rate increase. We do it every time. I typically like direct mail piece and a combination of, I typically don't like social media as our primary function, approach to announcing that sort of thing because we get beat up in social media. But anyway, direct mail piece likely, print advertisement has always been an approach we've taken for that. So anyhow, so that you know that, it's not something that will surprise the customers with in January.
I got a quick question on social media. Is that mainly Facebook, or do we use other?
Well, we can use our website, of course, but
Website.
that's not social media, but
Okay. Because I'm told that Facebook is only for old people anymore, and all the younger people are on,
Snapchat and
yeah.
Instagram.
yeah. So we might want to expand our social media. With that being said, take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Who was the first?
I motioned.
Councilwoman Camp made a motion to adjourn, second by Councilmember Looper. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?